Hello, this is the first entry in VerticalThird's game architecture series, Dedicated Servers. This is a quick rundown on what dedicated servers are. This is a good foundation to start with to help me break down other multiplayer topics in the future. If you didn't know already, VerticalThird is a multiplayer-ready game architecture. You can even check out our online tech demo available on the Epic Game Store. And we're using VerticalThird to build our indie MMO, Ruins of Terran. When we first started our game development journey back in 2015, we knew we just wanted to make multiplayer games. Lucky for us, services like PlayFab were popping up in the tech space. I've been using PlayFab since 2016, even before it was required by Microsoft. So dedicated servers, server authority, and replication were all bread and butter that I've been dealing with for almost 10 years now. These are topics I've been researching, implementing, and improving on for a long time. And I want to set the stage by giving you a good mental image of what a dedicated server actually is. And with that, please like, subscribe, ring the bell to help us with the algorithms. There are 4 topics I want you to conceptualize when it comes to dedicated servers. My main point with this is to give you a good mental image of what an online gaming environment actually is. We're going to start with what a dedicated server looks like. Then we move on to the player experience, alternate realities, and then controls and input. This is an Unreal Engine dedicated server. Yep, a plain old command box. And normally you don't even get this box. You have to add /log to the shortcut in order for this to pop up. So it's just a software application running on a server somewhere in the world. That's it, that's all, nothing fancy. Dedicated servers typically don't need to run graphics, animations, visual aspects, user interface. Many of these are stripped away to make it much more performant. With that being said, there will always be some games that have a specific need or niche to require those to run on the server. So, as always, it depends. The player experience or user experience for an online gaming environment, you've probably already experienced at this point yourself. You open up your game, you log in, you use your controls to move your character around this shared magical fantasy world with other players. And this is a very important part of the online gaming experience because a player should always feel like this when they're walking around your world. But on a technical level, this is not what is actually happening. Every player and the server has their own separate reality of the game, kind of like the multiverse or alternate realities if we're talking sci-fi films, TV shows, or movies. Each player that is connected to the dedicated server is also known as a client. The dedicated server is the center of existence for all of these different realities. Its core job is to send out updates to everyone connected to keep them all in sync. And these updates can be literally anything: combat, abilities, statistics like your health, your mana, anything. When replication fails, the client will be out of sync, causing a rip in the space-time continuum. The player will have major inconsistencies with their gameplay and lead to a horrible experience. This whole process is called replication, and is a massive topic on its own, so I'm not going to dive into it here. Next up is controls and input. The simplest explanation is that your client is merely a controller sending signals to the server. This is you telling the server what you want to do with your character. The server then replicates all of those actions to all players connected, including yourself. It's affirming that everything you've done is actually happening on the server. The time and frequency these updates come in is widely known as your ping. If your ping is 50 milliseconds or 50 ms, you're communicating to the server and receiving updates every 50 milliseconds. This is where we enter the topic of server authority or server authoritative code. The server is the rule of law and is the only one that can make changes to your game. A dedicated server is one of the simplest ways to dramatically reduce cheating in an online environment. If you engineer your code properly, the server will validate all actions sent by the player and prevent them from doing things they're not supposed to do. And this is where it gets a little complex. Every reality, aka each player connected, technically has control of their own existence. They can set the run speed to over 9,000, but if it's not sent to the server won't actually know their move speed is 9,000. In this example, I created a keybind to set my move speed to 9,000, but this is only effective on my client, which as you can see, did actually work. But the server will just think you're moving normally at your typical move speed, while in your reality, you're actually moving really fast. This results in a hogwash of movement corrections made by the server, causing a bunch of stuttering. Now, lucky for Unreal Engine users, the out-of-the-box netcode is actually pretty good, and it can handle most of the games out there. But if the server or the netcode was not actually validating your character's move speed over time, then this speed change would actually take effect, and you effectively have players having a speed hack. In Ruins of Terran, we haven't implemented replication for our weather system yet. So in the bottom right corner, a storm is happening where there is no storm for everyone else. But sometimes it can get even trickier. There are some things you can do on a client that don't have to be relayed to the server to give you an advantage. In MMOs, the most common one is how far back the camera can go to look around your surroundings. Here I've set a keybind to change my camera to be really far back. But because this isn't a replicated value that the server usually deals with, it's allowed for the client to do this. This goes back to how the client does have control over their own reality. Keep in mind that I'm using keybinds just to show it as an example, but these could actually be cheats and hacks for your game. And we're done. Again, I wanted this to be a quick rundown of some foundational information about dedicated servers. In future videos, I will deep dive replication, bandwidth, and server authority. See ya!